sorry for that. So here is guy fit the noise initiative. So zij was die kennis maken. Even een appendice connection. De kennis te smaken alleen de chemical later. De problem is die andere zaak uitgegeven. Maar je zal dat goede vinden. Meestal is zo de zaak te handelen. Je zal dat niet. Dat is een
township they're voting to.
So, ich habe kein Problem, als Arbeiter, wenn wir kommen zu einer anderen Idee, zu machen, ich habe aber
JSA 10:4-6 and published in the Asbury Park Press on January 10, 2017, and revised by email on July 10, 2017.
Thanks. We have a roll call, please.
Mayor Coles?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Here.
Lincolnstein?
Here.
Let the record reflect that Committeeman Ackerman is absent. Committeeman Delia?
Clear. Everybody please rise and salute the flag, please. David, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a moment.
Heavenly Father, we pause to give our thanks for thy many blessings. We ask thy blessing upon this township committee and all those in authority so that they may serve the people. All this we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
Move open. Moved by Minash.
I'll second.
By Mayor, all in favor? Aye. Back and open. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes, the executive workshop and regular minutes of June 22nd?
So made.
Second. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. I have a feeling why most of you folks are out here tonight. And number one, we want to welcome you and thank you for coming out, especially in this miserable weather. For a long time, it seems like we've tried to break this town up into public schools, private schools, Board of Education, township. And the last couple of months have taught me something, and it's that we're just one town, one big family. What affects the school children affects the township, the taxpayers. We needed to find ways to work together. And I think we're really starting to come to that consensus now that, you know, there isn't separate entities in this town anymore. There's one town. We're going to work together. We're going to make sure that your kids get the educations that you deserve, that you have the programs, the sports, the libraries, anything else that really forms the basis of great education. So it says a lot that you came out tonight in this weather. I want to thank you again on behalf of the entire Township Committee. And at this point in time, we're going to open the meeting to the public. Anybody who'd like to come forward, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Cuesta, and I am the School Library Media Specialist at Oak Street School. Thank you very much for having us here today. It's an honor to be speaking with you. We would like to thank Mayor Coles, the Lakewood Committee, Senator Singer, and Michael Inselba for their dedication and hard work in obtaining the necessary funds to keep Library Media Specialists in Lakewood. I would like to share with you a little bit about what we do to support our staff and students all year long. We provide authentic learning experiences set to standards with relatable scenarios and ask higher order thinking questions that connect digital and print literature to their lives. We collaborate with our staff so that we teach what we teach in library enriches what they are doing in the classroom. We procure, promote, and provide rich print and digital resources for students and staff. As you know, what makes our population unique is that we serve mainly bilingual and socioeconomically challenged students. And as Lakewood's media specialists, we are keenly aware of our school culture and our students' potential. So we teach information literacy knowing that some of our students have never owned a book, have never been to a public library, are bilingual or ELL, may have IEPs, or may be reluctant readers. And over the last 30 years, studies have shown that populations just like ours achieve more academically in schools with a media specialist. In the last 5 years alone, studies show that low-income ELL Mexican students with school libraries and supportive librarians provided role models, encouraged reading, and had academic fortitude through struggles. And that Hispanic students' school library use, even with the consideration of socioeconomic status, gender, and student effort, shows a significant impact on their academic achievement. We foster independent reading, which is proven to increase literacy and academic achievement across curriculum. We teach digital literacy, internet safety, and how to find valid information in online sources. We collaborate with the Lakewood Public Library throughout the year. We are members of multiple professional organizations and spend time learning and cultivating the newest ideas and ideals of our profession to keep our students and staff future ready. To conclude, Bill Sorrentino, I did not introduce, a librarian at Spruce Street School, is with me here. To conclude, we would like to share some words from the great writers and thinkers regarding the humble yet richly vibrant fairy tale. The point about Snow White is that you can keep fighting. The point about Snow White is that even when there are those who are meant to love you, put you in an intolerable situation, you can run away, you can make friends, you can cope. And that message that even when all is at its darkest, you can think your way out of trouble, that's huge. Neil Gaiman. Fairy tales do not tell children that dragons exist. Children already know that dragons exist. Fairy tales tell children that dragons can be beaten. G.K. Chesterton. And lastly, if you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. Albert Einstein. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to teach our children that they can cope, they can think, they can beat the dragons, they are courageous and strong, and that they have beautiful imaginations and bright futures ahead of them. Thank you for supporting the Lakewood School Media Librarians. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Michael Rush. I'm a retired school superintendent, also a former board member of the Lakewood Board of Education from 1985 to 1988. I run the Omega 13 mentoring program that has been in Lakewood for 37 years, and we're still going through thanks to you and the Community Development Block Grant. I'm elated that you guys are going to do what you should do to make sure that all of our students are participating. One of the things that concerned me was that when I heard that the township was going to give the football team money, or give the school money for the football team, I thought that was great, but it disturbed me because we got a lot of kids who don't play football and who don't participate in sports, yet still they're very, very good kids and they need your support. So I'm happy to stand before you tonight. I haven't come, but so many times when there's a problem, I come, but this wasn't your problem, it was the board's problem, so I've spoken at the Board of Education meetings. But I'm happy to be here tonight to learn that the monies that your resolution will allow the programs that have been in Lakewood for quite some time to continue. The issue I want to raise is, I think, Mayor, you mentioned before, and we've talked several times on these kinds of things, that there are people out there who are trying to divide Lakewood. This is one city. If I decided to send my child to a private or parochial school, that is my business. But I still pay taxes. There's been all kinds of ups and downs about who pays taxes and who doesn't pay taxes. We know that, and you guys know that. What I'm suggesting is that either you and or the Board of Education put a committee together of Lakewood finest, meaning community people, community leaders, some of the business partners, and we form a committee to go to Trenton and talk to Trenton about the formula. The formula is off-kill for the type of district we have. I know because it was my job for a long time ago to be superintendent and a teacher and a principal and all those things. So I know the formula is kind of convoluted based on who we are and what we need. Our needs are much greater than what we're being supported by. That will only happen if the state can see community members from all segments of the community. Not just one, not just the Orthodox, not just the African American or the Latino community, but to see all of us stand together talk to the town officials, the state officials, our legislators, and say, we need to do something. Because you know and I know, it happened last year, it's going to happen again next year, and the year after, until we make some decisions about how schools should be funded. Again, I want to thank you, and I thank to all the young people that are here. I didn't know they were coming, but I'm glad Lakewood is represented from all these young people because they want to be educated. They deserve the best education possible. Thank you very much.
My name is Michelle Jackson. I've raised my daughter in this town. She'll be a senior this year. And I just want to thank everybody. These are amazing, amazing, amazing kids. And they deserve this. They deserve this chance. I have a question. It's really simple, but I just have a question. When the money was given for football, do you guys realize how many quality educators we've lost? Why wasn't everything done at once? We've lost some amazing educators that have found positions elsewhere. We can't get them back, and the loss is theirs. The loss is theirs. I'm just curious why it wasn't all done at once.
The only reason that we went ahead with the football when we did was because we were told that the program had to start immediately. They needed to start practicing, get their medical clearances, and a lot of those kids had scholarships riding on whether or not they played this year. We were hoping that the state would recognize the fact that we are so severely underfunded and come through. So that didn't happen. I don't think anybody on this dais had any intention of allowing these kids to go without their programs. It was just a matter of timing. It was a matter of hoping the state would step up and do the right thing. Something that we really need to make sure they understand and come to grips with in this coming year so we don't go through this again next fall. I agree. I hated the idea of losing the teachers. When I heard Oscar was leaving, it hurt, and I told him before when I saw him, when I heard he came back, I actually really teared in my eye, because I know everything that he's put into this town, and the children in this town. So, we need, like I said, we need to work together as one single family, not a group of disparate little cliques that go out for their own. And I know that we're committed to doing whatever we have to do to make sure that nobody has to go through this again, not the teachers, not the students, the coaches, nobody.
It's something needs to be figured out, because if we can't come together, this is going to happen next year and the year after. Like I said, my daughter's a senior. I've been decades of board meetings, and every year it's like the same thing, maybe a little bit of a different issue, but it's the same thing. I think all of these kids in town, the potential is amazing with these kids, absolutely amazing. And I think they deserve a chance. And I just, again, thank you. Thank you very, very much for doing what you did for the kids. It means a lot. Thank you.
My name is Tom Gaddy. I live in the Enclave. First, even though we've had our differences, I want to applaud Barry Ian for standing up for his beliefs, which I think was fairly instrumental in bringing back Laura Winters as the superintendent, which I thought was probably one of the smartest things that the town has ever done. The next thing is if we're all actually part of one family, what I'd like to do is, has the $1.2 billion already been allocated? Has that decision been made? Okay. Let me make just an off-the-wall suggestion. And I'm glad it was done, and I'm glad the kids are going to get everything that they're entitled to, because I think that, and I'm sure Pastor Glenn's going to expand upon it, that they need this money and they need the programs that it reinstated. But let me make a suggestion. If we're all one family, why don't we ask part of our family, the private school owners, to finally, for once, give up something that may, in fact, may help eliminate the budget deficit? And some of the suggestions are, you know, boys and girls still ride separately. Boys and boys can't ride together. Girls and girls can't ride separately. Why can't we get something, close up some of these smaller schools with a small enrollment and consolidate some of the services that we give them, consolidate some of the busing expenses? If we're really part of one family, I have never seen, ever, in my time in Lakewood, and it's almost 11 years now, where the private schools have given up anything. At least it seems, in my opinion, that they have their cake and they continue to eat it too. They've gotten everything they wanted and given up absolutely nothing. Why don't we just, for instance, why don't we say that the committee loaned the Board of Education $1.2 billion, make it a loan, and make somebody pay it back, because we pay our taxes, and we pay it gladly, and 60 cents of our dollar goes towards the Board of Education budget. And now you're taking our tax money again out of the surplus, and we're giving it to the Board of Education that can't seem to balance its own budget. So again, why can't you just loan them the money? The state sets aside money that you owe them. They don't, it doesn't go away. They just kick the can down the road. Why can't that be paid back? And why can't the private school owners make enough concessions to save the town enough money, or save the Board of Education enough money that 1.2 would be a drop in the bucket? Anybody? Yeah, I'd like some answers, really.
We looked into that at first, and there's just no mechanism that the state allows us to make a loan. So rather than not do it, we decided to just pony up and make sure that these kids have what they need for the fall.
And I applaud that. I applaud that.
With regard to the other stuff, there's always conversations going on between the private schools about needs and necessities and things like that. The fact that they do educate 30,000 kids and are doing a pretty good job is, I think, a testament to education in this town, both in the public and the private sector. We'll talk to them. I'm not going to, again, get into this public versus private, let the private give up so that the public can work. We're going to figure out a way that everybody can work together to make sure that, I don't care if you're a public school student or a private school student, you deserve an education, you deserve to be able to be educated in a good environment, you deserve to be safely transported back and forth to school. And if you opt, like a lot of these children are, to play in sports, you deserve to have a sports program that's there for you. So I appreciate your comments. We always look for ways that we can work better with different parts of the community. But I think we're going to move forward with tonight's program as far as giving this money to the schools, and hopefully the state will come through and figure out a way to eliminate the deficit. Tom, that's your time.
You did most of the talking towards the end.
I asked you if you were done, and you said yes.
Okay. Good evening. I would like to thank you guys so much for extending yourself to help the children. Ray, when we met upstairs, and as we were walking away, I saw that this problem was a burden to you. And somehow I knew that you were going to come through for us. And I want to thank all of you for doing this for our children. Moving forward, I said it before and I said it again, that I believe that the separation that exists between the Board of Education and you guys hurts our township. There has to be, now that we have invested in the education of our children, there needs to be greater oversight from you guys over the Board of Education. I believe $1.2 million gives you the right to find out what's going on. This separation, you are the town fathers. And one of the things that town fathers do is to look out for the well-being of the entire community. And there should not be any boards in town that you say, well, they operate independently. Because I guarantee you that if we don't make changes today, next year, we are going to be here asking you for more money. Because that's what town fathers do. There's no way that I know that there's no way in the world you guys can sleep at night knowing that our children were not going to have the proper rate. Because that's what you guys do. But moving forward, there needs to be changes in Lakewood that gives you guys the right to find out what's going on. Why are we in deficit? Because if you're asking me to invest, you ought to have the right to find out what's going on. The Board of Education is in disarray. And I'm not blaming them for the problem. You know, none of them have the money to solve this issue. But if we keep going into deficit every year, somebody needs to find out what is going on. And this has to happen. It has to begin at the top. So once again, I want to thank you guys. And hopefully we can work together, as Dr. Rush said, Mike Goddard said, let's do something to see how we can solve this problem once and for all. Thank you very much.
Dr. Alwanda, I'm a resident of Skyline Drive in Lakewood, spent over 50 years in education. Many of those years, the most pleasurable ones were coaching students like these, advising. Every dollar that we spend in this area, we get back tenfold. Actually, and I shouldn't say this as an academic, better than the textbooks, actually. Socialization, teamwork, etc. So I applaud what you're doing, but I have to also say what's already been said by a number of people this evening. This is a temporary solution, if a solution at all. We need to use our legislators. We need to use our community power. We are funded on a universe of 6,000 students. We have 36,000 students. And by law and entitlement, the non-public school students get certain services. So Lakewood is like no other municipality in that regard in the state of New Jersey. There's nothing like it. But we also need to look on the expense side, which I have, especially in transportation and special education. Do you realize that your $1.2 million that you're voting on tonight would be a moot point if we only reduced by $5,000 the tuition of one of the major schools here in Lakewood? That's $1 million. They have 200 students that are Lakewood students. I'm only asking them on a tuition of $115,000 or so to reduce their tuition to give all the kids a break by $5,000. Easily achievable. I think they already owe the district $340,000. So there are economies. We have courtesy busing. There are some students who are close enough to the schools that don't need courtesy busing. In the legislation, with the Singer legislation, they talked about sidewalks. Do we make developers put in sidewalks so kids can walk to school? We need to do that because otherwise we're going to be back here every year doing what we're doing. So we need to examine our practices along with the private schools. And I embrace what Mr. Rush said. You need to put a committee together. We need to go to Trenton. We need to get a carve out for this town that's different in a funding formula than any others because there's no other town like it. And I'm more than willing to help any way I can. But I also want to see, and you talked, Mayor Coles, about community, private, public, council. Everyone has a stake in this, and I would like to see the private schools also do their fair share by maybe reducing at least one where we use public schools for special ed placement where they would maybe reduce their tuition so we wouldn't be here tonight. Again, I don't want anything that I've said this evening to be construed as a lack of support for these wonderful adolescents behind me. They are our future. They deserve volleyball and football. They deserve soccer. They deserve yearbook, library. They deserve the best because that's a thorough and efficient education. It's not just in the classroom. But I think we have to look on both sides, both the spending side, the revenue side, and the expense side. Thank you.
Barry Iron, President Board of Education. I want to thank on behalf of Board of Education, Mayor Coles, all Township Committee, and all the citizens of Lakewood taxpayers that supporting our kids once again. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor Coles, Township Committeemen, Mr. Henshaw, and Mr. Sahar. On behalf of the Board of Education and the Lakewood School District, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you, as well as Senator Singer and Michael Inzelbuck, for supporting the Lakewood School District and putting the needs of all of its students first and foremost. Passing a restrictive township grant would ensure the Lakewood Public School students receive the same opportunity as those attending schools in neighboring districts. It would also guarantee the district's non-public school students are providing services that they may not otherwise receive due to limited IDA funding. As you can see here, I brought with me students and staff of the Lakewood School District. And whether you know it or not, the impact of the actions that you are taking tonight is extraordinary and more powerful than words could ever say. In fact, tonight, each and every one of you should feel like a hero, because that is what you are to our students. And for this, I thank you. Finally, I would like to introduce Oscar Oriano, who is the Lakewood School District Guidance Counselor and Wrestling and Soccer Coach. Oscar?
Good evening. First off, just got to give a nice pine and pride here. Nice job, guys, showing up. Lakewood High School graduate, class of 2005. Proud Pioneer. I'm the Vice President of Lakewood Soccer Club, founder of Escape Wrestling Club, Lakewood Hall of Fame inductee 2013, and director of the Desire Park. And the list really could go on of all the things that I love to do in my community. And quite frankly, 2 months ago, it felt like perhaps this community wasn't meeting me halfway where I was, put in everything. And the turn of events that happened probably the past 2 weeks have really just shown me, like you said, Maricos, that it's no longer about you, me, or Dan, but it's now about us. And I couldn't be more proud of that. And I was so excited to be welcomed back and to announce to my athletes that will be returning. And I'm very excited for the opportunities that you have created for these children to really find their own future. I think it's unfair for any child to tell you what they want to do when they grow up, because the truth is they don't know and they're learning it. But I think as adults of this community, it's our responsibility to make sure that whatever doors they need to be open for when they decide what their future is, that they are there. And that is exactly what you did tonight. You kept doors open for that when these children are ready, the opportunity presents themselves, they can make it. So thank you for that.
Mayor, may I say something? Superintendent, I have one thing I'd like to ask you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Board of Education members. They showed sign that maybe we're beginning to work together a little more. I just want you, if you would, explain to, we have the press here today, how many students get scholarships, both through sports and academics from Lakewood. I don't think people really realize just the scholarships that are given to our high school. I'm very proud of that. I know my wife's involved in it, and she's always been excited about it.
The last few years, we've probably had about maybe 3 to 5 students in each sport, maybe. It depends.
I have a list right now for the last 2 years. There was very people wrestling. And academics also, how many?
We have academics, both. We have in each sport.
I don't think people realize just what the Lakewood school system does for their students.
You know, if I can say from here, with the superintendent's permission, there was $86,000 worth of scholarships given to Lakewood students this year. That's phenomenal.
Thank you.
So that's what we need to do.
And while I can't speak for other sports here, I can tell you on behalf of wrestling, in the past 2 years as a head coach, we've had students receive scholarship to Lackawanna College, Montclair, Monmouth University, Marshall, Missouri Baptist University. We currently have a Navy officer in Bahrain. I might have said it wrong. We have a U.S. Marine Corps. We have 2 Army active, and that's just 2 years of graduating classes, including one of my pride and joys is Marco Quintero, who finished his first year at Missouri Baptist University with a 4.0 on a wrestling scholarship.
Oscar,
Pardon?
Oscar, as a Air Force officer reserve serve. I'd love to see some of you guys in the Air Force as well.
All right, I'm pushing for it. I'm pushing for it. Since I'm an Air Force veteran, I agree. Fred Rush. I think that regardless of what has happened in the last couple of weeks and the last month, we've seen a lot of publicity in our town, whether it's wanted it or not. This is a good thing. This time, we can tell you, this is for the kids. You guys have stepped up with the help of the Board of Education to solve some of the problems that we have. I mean, they all won't be alleviated, but at least we're working on it. And, I mean, that's paramount in my mind. I mean, there's other things that I can talk about, but tonight we're going to leave it at a good celebration, because I do have some other things and other issues, but not tonight. So thank you guys for taking a stance. Thank you, Mike, Maisha, Meyer, and certainly Ray. Is that somebody missing? Albert. Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, hi. I'm Schubert, 18 Geffen Drive. I'm glad to see there's such positive energy about Lakewood Township in this room here today. And it's really great to see that. It's a great town, and you will do a wonderful job with the entire community, and we're very appreciative of it. I came in today, we had email correspondence with the mayor, and he's been very helpful to us in the neighborhood. And just wanted to come and talk about that a little bit tonight. We're very concerned about the master plan rezoning that we found out that the engineer is attempting to rezone our beautiful neighborhood at zoned R15 to R10, and it seems like the master plan didn't bother to hear what any of the neighborhoods feel about this, and they seem to be like on the way to approve a change to R10 based on a few people who invest and own the land around our neighborhood, and we're very concerned about that. And Mayor Coles has told us that he's will never let that happen. So we're happy about that, and we just want to make sure that everyone else on the Township Committee will reflect what the neighborhood would like to happen over there, and I'm sure that will happen, that there won't be any changes on Burnside Avenue without the okay with many in the neighborhood. And we're very concerned about that. Just one other point that we've been trying to move forward with a park area that was supposed to, I know it's on the agenda tonight, that was supposed to happen around 12 years ago when the neighboring development in Red Oaks was supposed to be set aside and belong to the Lakewood Township Committee. We're talking about block 190, lot 58.13. It's supposed to be dedicated to a park 12 years ago, and people in the neighborhood found out there was a private individual. It went to a tax lien and tax sale, but from what we understand, legally, it's not a big deal. And at this point, it should just go back to Lakewood Township, and it should be dedicated as a park for us. It's 12 years, and if it's possible, if we could have some action, maybe next meeting, that we could just have this motion for setting aside this area in the neighborhood as a park that was supposed to occur 12 years ago. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Julia Splay, NJ News and Views, Toms River, New Jersey. Quick question with regard to some items that are on the agenda this evening. There were two. One was the legalization of attic apartments, if I understand correctly. Okay, would you clarify it?
Attics have been being built in town for many years. Over the last few years, people have actually been finishing them off. What this ordinance does is it makes the attic figure into the calculation for how many parking spaces are needed for a house when it's built. In essence, the attic would be considered the one additional bedroom with the stairs going up to it on the legal side so that people can get up and down.
There was something in here about exterior entrances to the attic, the finished
There are
attic.
none allowed.
Okay. In other words, that's still illegal? Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Yitzhak Schmidt. I live in the Red Oaks development, and there are several issues that need to be addressed. I'm not going to address all of them tonight, so you don't have to worry. You can relax. I do want to talk about one or two small things which are, I believe, are kind of urgent. I'd like to echo what Mr. Schubert said earlier. He was a tall fellow, two people before me. He spoke about a lot that was dedicated 12 years ago. I'd like to correct him. It was dedicated 15 and a half years ago. And what everybody in the neighborhood wants to know, we're talking about several dozen people which are affected by the inaction of this committee, is why has it taken 15 and a half years to simply accept the lot which was dedicated and given to you? I mean, you guys do this all the time. It usually takes up to 10 months, not 15 and a half years. Again, it's block 190, lot 58.13. You can get that into the minutes because we like to have the block and lot on the minutes. I know people have spoken about this earlier, but the block and lot hasn't been specifically put into the minutes. We'd like that as part of the record. And I would appreciate Mr. Seeker, would just please give a little attention to what I'm about to say, because I know you're, okay, I appreciate that. Thanks, please, no offense. I appreciate that. You gotta look really close, I'm not that tall. I know that somebody had purchased this lot through a tax lien sale because the township neglected to act on the dedication for a long period of time. I know that he's right now trying to sue the township to get this dedicated piece of land, which is mostly wetlands, which nothing can be done with. Some of it is a detention basin, which again, nothing can be done with, but somehow this private individual owns a infrastructure for development. And on top of that, there's also a lot which is specifically designated for a play area, playground, and open space area. If you take a look at the record back in 2002, February 4th, 2002, you will see that this specific area that he's trying to develop, and unfortunately, we're not really sure, we're not going to try to go too much into it, but it seems like Lakewood Township joined as a co-applicant, even though we didn't find any record in any of the minutes or any ordinances as such. Thankfully, that was denied by the planning board, and they said, listen, there's a deed restriction on it. And quite frankly, I know when he decided to file a complaint against the township in the Superior Court, your office, Mr. Seeker, had responded with an answer, and you know, with all respect, I'm kind of disappointed because I saw a lot of your answers, and unfortunately don't reflect the truth, and I would appreciate if you could reach out to the neighborhood and you can find out the correct history of this particular lot. I know often you've said that you can't speak as far as zoning rules because you're not a zoning board attorney or a planning board attorney. That's not your forte, and I appreciate and I respect that. But having said that, you may want to get some more experience and some more knowledge about this. I have a lot to offer, and I'm not the only one. There are several dozen people which have done a tremendous amount of both legal research, historical research, real estate research, which can offer you something. It's going to end up costing the township a heck of a lot more money if you don't, deal with this thing properly. The easiest thing for you to do, and I respectfully say this to my friends on this board, is all you need to do is just accept it and done. It's all finished. Just accept the lot, have an ordinance, like you accept all other dedications. We've seen several dozen ordinances of this type. Accept it and it's done. It's finished. That's all you need to do. We look forward to this happening by the next committee meeting, and we're going to try to reach out to you. If I would appreciate if you could reach out back to us also, because I know that you've spoken with the principals of that group which are trying to take over this lot, but nobody's reached out to us, and we're kind of disappointed about that as well. So I think I've pretty much used up my time, and I'll reserve the rest for a different time. Thank you very much. I look forward to settling this issue quick. Goodbye.
With the mayor's permission, I suggest you write me a letter concerning...
Steve, nobody hears you.
Mike. Oh, I'm sorry. What about Mike? With the mayor's permission, I'd ask you to write me a letter expressing the concerns that you said exist out there.
I'm hoping for a dialogue, not just a one-way letter kind of thing.
I can't. It's in litigation. I can't do that.
And unfortunately, you've had a dialogue with them, so I wish you could have a dialogue with us as well.
Believe me, if you send me a letter, I'll read it. If the mayor gives me permission to do it.
You have that permission, please send in the letter. We'll try and get it resolved as quickly as possible.
Okay, fine. I know some environmental groups are looking to get involved. That doesn't get to that stage. Fine, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me, Larry Lloydman, L-O-I-G-M-A-N. Mr. Mayor, during the last month, the good name of the Township of Lakewood has been under continuous attack. Lakewood has become synonymous outside of the town, perhaps on the statewide scale or even beyond the state, with scams and with fraud and with lawlessness. And it is our elected leaders who must take responsibility for their reputation and the values of the community, and yet I see on the agenda nothing about this at all. I see over the last several weeks that the mayor and the members of the township committee have stood by silently while the township has been disgraced and disparaged. And I'm very concerned that the elected officials who are supposed to take the responsibility for the moral and ethical leadership of the community have not done so. There is obviously a problem in Lakewood Township, whether it is a problem on a widespread scale or otherwise, and part of the problem is with regard to the public relations, the view, the perspective of what's going on here. And part of it may be something other than that, maybe at the core of this situation. But the Township Committee, to whom we look for leadership, has not given us any guidance at all, has not responded in any way, has not told us anything about what has happened and what the Township's response to that is going to be. And I think that it's a greater shame than what has happened over the last few weeks, that the governing body has not stood up and said what its position is. It has not condemned anything that has happened. It has not condemned the alleged criminal acts, and it has not condemned the publicity that the township has received. It has ignored the situation entirely. And I think that's really unconscionable. I think the Township Committee needs to lead by setting an example, by saying that it is going to recommit itself to a form of open government that no one will ever be able to question. I think the Township Committee needs to say that it's going to do everything possible to maximize its own integrity and honesty and the public view of its own integrity and honesty, and use that as an example for everybody in this township. This entire community has been besmirched by what has happened. And I think somebody has to stand up and say, that is not what Lakewood is all about. Lakewood is about something different. Lakewood is a town that has a long and storied history, and that history is not the type of lawlessness which it is alleged has been occurring. I think the Township Committee needs to be out in front in defending the reputation of this town. And I don't think that's happening. And I would ask that the Township Committee, all of the committeemen, including the one who was just left, all of the committeemen very seriously look at what the public thinks of this town, whether they still think that it's a desirable place to live and to do business, and to make sure that Lakewood as a community is going to stand for honesty and for integrity,
Larry, your time is up.
and not for the types of things that we have seen recently
I take great offense
in the
to
media.
what you just said here tonight. I think you've done more to disperse the reputation of this town in 4 minutes than has been done in any newspaper show over the past month.
Thank you, Mr.
I've been on NJTV, I spoke to the Wall Street Journal, the Star Ledger, the Asbury Park Press, half a dozen independent people who contacted me. I'm sorry if those news sources don't agree with your news sources, but this committee has been out. We've talked to, I can't tell you how many people in this town about what's gone on. I will not allow the actions of just a few people, allegedly, running a criminal scam affect the way that people look at this township. This township is not reflective of the actions of anything that's gone on in the last couple of weeks. 99.9% of the people in this town get up every morning, they work their tails off to provide for their families. So for you to stand up here and to say that we don't care about what's going on in this town, or that we don't care about the reputation of the town, is one of the the worst things that I've heard in a long time. I take great offense on it, and thank you for your comments. And I'd like the next speaker to go.
Shlomo McCline, I just want to continue on what the mayor just said, that the township government is a great example for everybody. Just these two minor issues that could still be fixed over here that will help out what the mayor just said. One is the master plan. There's a lot of individuals that sit on this master plan that have self-interest or they serve a special interest. Especially one of the members over there is an attorney that the same block and lot number that he was representing by the zoning board, he was advocating to change the zone by the master plan. He got paid for it. So in my definition of corruption is if somebody does in any public capacity, a public official is not, it's servicing his self-enrichment and not servicing the public good. So this is a typical example of what happened by the master plan. Another thing that in the fact that they went and they tried to get this meeting closed, but legally they didn't have to, when the public perception is the way I said it is, and you know that most of the members over there serve special interest, and they went and they hid it from the public and they did it in closed meetings, that gives more evidence that this type of the master plan committee, I'm talking about the small part of the government, like the attorney, the advisory committee, is corrupt. If you could just clean up that act, it would be a great example for Lakewood for their reputation. One more small thing, I know you're very limited on what you can do because the VAD is on top of you and they're not letting you, and I understand you're a good man. If you wouldn't have had the VAD on top of you, you would have been the greatest mayor in the United States. But the fact, we have to live with it. They have the majority, they have the votes. The second issue, but that is not related to the VAD, and there's really something you could do about it, is by the zoning board. There's a member, Obi Gonzalez, did not want to step down an application that was right across of him that is changing the zoning, and he came to an application when the public got noticed it because he did it with a different applicant, he pulled it. And now he insists on sitting there because he says he's not within 200 feet, even though he's gaining a financial gain out of that change. And he still insists on sitting there. That is public corruption number one. And this has nothing to do with the VAD. This is just for his self-enrichment that he's going to gain. And this type of action that a board member out in the public deals with that way, I don't know why our zoning board has such members. Lastly, I want to say something about Steve Seeker. He's a great attorney, and he makes sure that anything that could be hidden from the public or any corruption that you could legally do, he will support it and he protects the town illegally. If you would have had a book that's called How to Be Corrupt Legally for Dummies by Steve Seeker, it would have been the greatest seller book in that I know. I'm not trying to say he's a good attorney, he's protecting you guys. But the fact is, this type of behavior does not help out your reputation. Just clean it up, just a little bit. You're great people, you're doing a lot of stuff great, especially your mayor. Just clean up this little bit, that it should be looked to the public that it's clean. It would have been a great thing for this town, and people would have taken great example on you guys. You wouldn't have to speak about it, about individuals. Everybody would look up to you and follow you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gershon Silber. My name is Gershon Silber. I live in Lakewood for over 10 years. In 2009, I moved to a Ridge Avenue apartment, and during that time, the whole Ridge Avenue was full of potholes. And in my opinion, in 2009, it should have been repaved. Now I see that in 2017, it is being repaved, but this is like 8 years later. It should have been repaved in 2009.
My question is, Somerset Avenue and Linden Avenue are also full of puddles, and they're becoming a bigger road, and they're not in the 2017 plan, and they should be repaid. Every time you go, especially now that the county made a turning lane on Somerset Avenue, so when you go into from County Line to Somerset Avenue, you right away in the puddles, and the whole Somerset Avenue up until now, then it changes, it becomes Linden, up until what it did, it's full of puddles, and I don't think that we should wait another 10 years for that to be repaid. I think it should be in the 2017, not 2018, 2017 plan to be repaid. Another issue I want to bring up is lights, the red lights in Lakewood. I was trying to make a left turn into County Line from Somerset Avenue. 5:48 p.m. I waited 3 minutes for the light to turn. There was no traffic on County Line Road. At certain times, the lights are good during the day, but during the night, a lot of major lights in Lakewood, it's like if you're gonna go on a red light, then you can get a ticket, and you're a reckless driver, and it's wrong. But it should not be red for so long. A lot of lights in Lakewood are red for too long. Another issue I want to bring up is there's a Linden development, Linden Gardens called, and when they made the development, I don't know how they got approved without having a drainage in the back. What caused that all the gutter water went straight into the basements of apartments of the whole development, and eventually the builder decided he's going to make a drainage in the back. I think that in future developments, the township needs to make sure that a development that has basements should have a drainage in the back where the gutters go to a drainage, to the waterways. Another thing I would like to suggest, maybe since this township for some reason, generally speaking, takes a very long time until puddles are being repaid, I think when any company or developer who opens a road, they should be required to pave it from, even if it's a small piece, from curb to curb, across. Like there's not going to be so many puddles. And if not, then the township should actually start repaving more roads. Especially, I'm repeating, and I saw that some of you guys were like, huh?
They have good news for you.
What?
They have good news for you about Somerset.
Somerset, finally. Thank you very much. Let me see if I have anything else. Oh, there's another thing. One more thing. I have a few more seconds. There's another development called Eden, whatever, North Apple from County Line Road. What happens is if you want to make a left onto County Line Road, it's not possible to make unless you're a reckless driver. Which means, is there a Park Avenue light coming up? Park in County Line? I think there should be coming up at Park and it should be synced together with the other lights. So I go on Eden Lane every single day. And I have to wait, if I don't want to be a reckless driver, I have to wait 10 or 15 minutes to make a left turn onto County Line Road, because if I'm going to make a right turn and I want to go up to Somerset, I'm not going to be able to go. Or to make the turning lane.
Thank you. 30 seconds? All right, it'll be our last speaker.
Sorry. Thank you so much. My name is John Woodsy. I've been a teacher at Lakewood for 14 years and coaching sports for 14 years. I'm now the middle school coach. I was head coach before Oscar, and all these wrestlers here I coached every one of them except for one. What wrestling and what sports have done for me have helped me overcome anything difficult, from my wife having cancer to tremendous obstacles that we all have to deal with. I really can pinpoint that sports, the discipline that I've gotten, the perseverance. I just can't thank you enough for Mr. Coles and the committee to what you're giving to these kids. It's priceless. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
I'm going to get you guys out of here in about 2 minutes. Thank you. All right. Just a couple points I wanted to bring up. The word hero was thrown up around here regarding us, and I don't feel comfortable with that. You know, the heroes in this room are the teachers, the coaches, the people who are out there. The second point was giving us credit for being able to give the money to the school district. It's not us. It is coming from every taxpayer in this town, in public school and private school, to make sure that you all have the kind of education and extracurriculars that you deserve. So, on behalf of us, thank you for just being out there, doing the best you can. And as somebody said before, you are the next generation of leaders. I can't wait to see some of you sitting up here so that I can enjoy my retirement out there. Appreciate that, get you out of here. Can I have a motion on, before that, to the last thing, most important thing, is a gentleman sitting 2 people over, Mayor Lichtenstein, has put in more time and more effort working with the board than any of us combined over the last couple of years. He deserves a motion.
And can I second it with a quick purpose of discussion? Sure. Thank you, Mayor. First of all, thank you for pointing out that I put some effort in, but as you know, I couldn't have done it without the support of everybody on the committee. We all have our layers and chips, and I put some work in. There is one thing that I would ask, perhaps that we could add to the resolution, Mayor, and if you would be okay with it. Pastor Wilson brought up a very good point. Use the word financial oversight, but perhaps, you know, there's so many different bodies at the Board of Ed, and as you said, I've been working with them, and everybody really, really tries their best. You have state, you have the Board of Education, you have the administration, and sometimes it's difficult when we're trying to talk to 3 different parties at the same time. I was wondering if, in addition to what we are giving, you could perhaps put a condition in the resolution that allows the township to appoint 1 person to have access to those finances and work with those 3 bodies, a person that all 5 of us would appoint, probably a professional of some level, and I think that would help us continue to do what you had said, Mayor, and bring everybody together so that we're all always on the same page. If we could amend the resolution to include that, that would be great.
Are we going to change that?
And on my second.
Any other discussion? Nathan, roll call, please.
Committeeman Talia.
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller.
Yes.
Mayor Coles.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We'll take a couple minutes break when we start this way out.
Hey guys,
Charles, thank you for coming. All right. Thanks for coming. Okay. We will, definitely. Definitely will.
I can only shake songs.
Oh, Tuesday, let's go. Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Be there at 5:30.
Yes. Thank you.
How you doing,
Girls, Tuesday. How'd you do?
That's the one that's
I didn't get up. I was trying to be easy. I'll get it soon.
I'll give you 4 minutes and 15 seconds next week.
What next week? Isn't there a discussion on one of the agendas?
Why are you up here?
I'm waiting for it to continue.
You're ahead of schedule.
No, we're not doing ordinances yet. We haven't done the consent agenda. We only did one ordinance, one presentation.
Oh, you did only one resolution?
Yeah, we just wanted to let the kids get out of here.
So we do the rest of the consent agenda.
Didn't that will take long?
No, but you're welcome.
So I could stay here. Thank you.
Let me ask Mr. Seek here. I value his legal opinion.
I said he's a great attorney.
All right, let's get back to it. Is there a motion on the consent agenda, list number 24? Moved by Mike. Second by Minash. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia.
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein.
I will not be voting on 13, but yes on the rest of them.
Deputy Mayor Miller.
Yes.
Mayor Coles.
Yes.
Mayor, can I ask on resolution number 9, we're appointing attending police officers. Can we have the manager work with the chief to bring them to a meeting so that we can present them to the public?
August 10th, yes, sir.
And, oh, it's August 10th, thank you.
Look at that.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I like Mr. Klein to stand there with one.
Ordinance of the Township of Lakewood County, Ocean State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 24, taxation, Section 24-3.1, definitions, 24-3.3, application for exemption, and 24-3.4, consideration and approval of the revised general ordinance of the Township of Lakewood, 1999. This is the pilot ordinance.
And I open the meeting to the public.
Is there any way, don't have time, I'm not going to speak 5 minutes. Is there any way that one of the committee members could explain what this ordinance is all about? In general, I'm not going in detail, just in the general aspect, because first of all, to make sure that you guys know that what the ordinance is all about, and second of all, for the public to know what this ordinance is without going into like the nitty-gritty details.
A pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes. It's a form of taxation other than full taxation or a tax abatement. This particular one is due to the fact that in 1999, when the Cedar Bridge development contract was signed, it was agreed that those properties that were developed would be able to apply for a pilot rather than full taxes. There are multiple ways that you can calculate a pilot based on the income of the building, the worth of the building, a number of other things. we felt it best to hire a company to help us calculate what those pilots should be, as opposed to adding an already burned chief financial officer. And more specifically, though, to somebody who has the expertise in dealing with this, helps us get the best deal for taxpayers.
So this is something special for Cedar Bridge?
It deals mainly with Cedar Bridge. I don't believe we have this type of a commercial pilot anyplace else in town. To my knowledge, the only other pilots in town have to do with some of the properties owned by the housing authority. Their taxes and payment in lieu of taxes because they're public housing for low-income residents. I don't believe it's the same type of pilot, but in general, that's what a pilot is. Steve, you can correct me on this one, but I don't believe that the pilot would apply any place in town other than Cedar Bridge development. That's correct.
So is this like, talking about pilot, there's something with pilot that we're giving them some kind of pilot, and you need somebody to calculate it. Was that not a formula put in originally with an ordinance or an agreement?
It was not. It was just left vague that it would be a pilot. Like I said, there are numerous different ways depending on the type of building. If it's a building owned by a single entity that is using it for its own purpose, it might be better to do it as a value of the building. If it's a building that generates income, it might be better to do it as a percentage of the income generated. I'm not an expert on it either. That's why, I approve going forward hiring somebody to work with us to help calculate the best deal.
But you for sure have to give them, accordingly to your agreement, tax abatements. Like something for 30 years not paying taxes.
Pilot is a form of a tax abatement, yes.
So it is something that you agreed already to give them.
It was agreed to in 1999.
And there's not exactly a formula of what you plan to give them, and now you could recalculate it?
It has to be, again, because there's different types of pilots, or different ways of calculating a pilot. It's not going to be, I don't believe, against Steve correctly, it's not necessarily going to be the same pilot for each building, would it? So, again, having somebody who is an expert in the field helps determine the best way of calculating that is why we're going ahead with this ordinance.
It's calculating what you want to give them or what you're required to give them?
What they're paying us. They're giving us a payment in lieu of regular taxation.
Tax abatement is usually you don't pay taxes, not paying taxes. I'm a little bit confused.
Pilot is different. It's a form of an abatement is you don't pay taxes over a short period of time. A pilot is a longer term thing. I think these pilots are for 30 years, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just a different formula. It's a pilot is the payment that we receive.
So they are paying you taxes?
Oh, yeah, big time.
So they're not getting tax abatements? Trying to figure out. So they usually, a business, a building in that size would have paid like so much and so much taxes. Now we're doing it, we're extending it in a period of time. We're calling it a pilot. Trying to understand, I'm not trying to question.
You're paying the full value on it because it's increments. I mean, you pay the land, and then over the next 5 years, let's say, you're doing this in full. Pilot means you only pay, let's say, for example, the municipal portion of what it is, but in full, the municipality. And it might.
You want to know if they're paying less taxes than it would be a regular tax? Is that your question? The answer is probably is less. Yes, if that's your question, the answer is so. That way, it's a form of payment. A pilot is a pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes. That's what pilot stands for. That means that instead of paying taxes, you're making another payment to the town. But regular taxes, as you probably know, are based on value and rate. This is calculated a different way. How do you calculate that? We're hiring a company because it's a very complicated formula to figure out what a pilot is. So there's an outside company that's going to look at each building. Depends how many tenants they have. I think it depends how many jobs they've got. All these different things are calculated into a formula for a pilot, and that will determine how much that pays.
So why did Cedar Bridge get pilot and not tax abatement, and the rest of the town gets tax abatement and pilot?
While it happened in 1990.
The theory back then, and I wasn't on the committee, so I wasn't part of that.
Mike.
The buildings going up in Cedar Bridge were going to be Class A office buildings, which are worth exponentially more money than the type of flex buildings that were being put up in the industrial park. The only way to attract that kind of development is through a long-term abatement, so that the building owners can calculate what their expenses are going to be over a longer period of time. So even with the reduced amount that they would be paying, if you're going by the dollar amount, they still, because of the extra value of the building, would be generating more income for the township.
So
that was the theory going back.
So my understanding is tax abatement is usually 5 years and pilot could be 30 years, that's what it is?
It could be up to 30, I believe.
And tax abatement could be up to 30 years or only
No,
to
tax
5?
abatement is 5, that's a
Oh, so
state.
that's the
These are
reason why it
both
was on
state
pilot.
programs.
Thank you.
Anybody else on this ordinance? Seeing nobody, will close the public hearing. Motion moved by Menashe, second by Mayor. Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes. First, ordinance first reading.
Ordinance to Township of Lakewood, County, Ocean State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Article 2, definition, section 18-200-P, definition of terms, and Article 3, design standards, section 18-808, off-street parking, loading, and circulation of chapter 18 of the Unified Development Ordinance.
Motion by Menashe. Second. Second by Mike. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes.
Second reading, public hearing on August 31st, 2017.
Thank you.
An ordinance of Township of Lakewood, County, Ocean State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Article 8, Design Standards, Section 18-807, B.3, off-street parking, loading, and circulation, and Article 9, zoning districts and regulations, Section 18-903, M.6G, industrial zone, M-1, off-street parking, of the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 18.
Do we have a motion?
So made.
Moved by Mayor. Second. Second by Mike. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes.
Second reading, public hearing on August 31st, 2017. An ordinance of the
I
Township
have
of
a
Lakewood.
question. Sorry, a question. On N3, N2, number 3, business and professional offices are based, other than medical or clinical, use one space for each 300 square foot out of 450. So what does happen to medical? It stays as is. It's here.
Stays the same.
Keep going.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay. Ordinance of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 2, entitled Administration of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Lakewood, specifically Section 2-76, fees for miscellaneous services and copies of public documents.
So,
Moved by Menashe.
second.
Second by Mayor. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes.
Second reading, public hearing on August 10th, 2017.
Thanks, Katie. Correspondence?
I'll move including the additional correspondence.
Moved by Mayor. Second. Second by Menashe. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion for the bill list.
So made.
Moved by Menashe.
Second.
Second by
Give it to the lead.
Mike. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes. Comments from committee members?
I have none.
I have them.
Mr. Mayor, as we're getting closer to 2020, the Census Bureau is gearing up its counting. We're already started sending out the letters as of now, 2017, 18, and 19. I'm going to be very heavily involved with the count. 2010, I was very heavily involved with the census. Later in 2000, we was under the HTC zone, our count zone. We put together something which is called the Complete Count Committee, which ultimately resulted in 2010 that later had a great number. This number is vital for us. It's so important because it directly reflects upon what we're going to get with regard to CDBG funds and other funds. I'd like to get the permission for myself to be the liaison to the census, and I'd like to get to work on this quite immediately together with the county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn? So made. Everybody get home safe.
Good night.